I think we had spoken a lot. I think in Sabri also had emphasized that it's quite important for various local authorities, and there are over 150 of them, to prepare that blueprint. We have a participant asking, how much does it cost? How long does it take to prepare a blueprint that's suited and geared towards that local authority? And how did Putrajaya go about in preparing your blueprint?
Okay. Yes, Mrs. Lin. Okay. Actually, for the Smart City Project Blueprint, it was led by our city planners in our town planning department. So basically, for the process of developing our blueprint, it takes roughly about a year, in terms of the process. So we spend roughly about for the blueprint itself around 80K. So during the process, actually, it started back in the 2017, as I mentioned earlier. So actually, the first stage that we do is we do a stakeholder engagement, and also we do a lot of what you call is the focus group discussion. So there is about focus group discussion that we get involved all the stakeholders, not only the community but also the workers, the student, and everyone whoever is involved in our city to start come up with the requirements of the smart city. What are the people really needs? What are the agencies really need? Maybe the government agencies, the school, and so on. So basically, and after that, we also continue with a few workshops as well to together formulating the smart city initiative and also the timeline, and also a workshop to draft the smart city blueprint frameworks. So roughly it'll take about a year. But I believe that for other local authority to start with the blueprint, since you have quite a number of examples nowadays compared to us last time that we don't have so much place to refer in Malaysia. So I think now even not only Putrajaya, I think even Kuala Lumpur also have recently has established their own blueprint. And I think Ipoh, if not mistaken, is coming out with their blueprints soon. Even our ministry, the Ministry of Federal Territory, is also coming out with their blueprint for smart city in terms of the 3 federal territories in Malaysia, including Labuan. So I think it will not take so much time compared to us last time for other local authority to start with their smart city blueprint. Yeah, I think that's on from me.
There's a lot of interest in Putrajaya's story. Another one has asked, because you had mentioned you had a dedicated team earlier, they wants to know a bit more detail about how many people needs to be dedicated just for that, besides all the many responsibilities of local authorities. How many, and do you need new people to be put in rather than reallocation of duties?
Okay, currently the teams that actually handling the execution of the blueprint, the process of developing the blueprint itself is done by the city planner. It's not done by the execution teams. So the execution teams consist of supposedly it has to come from multiple background, but most of it come from IT and also technology background. So in Putrajaya case, most of us actually come from IT and also technologies. We're supposed to have some engineers as well, and also some financial background as well. But at the moment, we are running with roughly about 6 people who actually are focusing on implementing the 93 initiatives stated in our blueprint. Most of us actually is the IT background. And basically, at the moment, we are in IT divisions, and then we didn't take any new people. Actually, we just manage whatever resources that we have currently, except for the operational of our Putrajaya Command Center, where we have to take quite a number of new people, because our command center is operating 24/7, which is also under the smart city team as well. So I think that will help answer the question. I think basically we don't need so much people in smart city unit or divisions, just a few number of them. But these people need to do a lot of collaborations, a lot of networkings, need to do a lot of design work, comparing technologies, and advise all the related departments and also agencies on how to actually adapt the technologies in their daily operations.
Thank you. That is quite clear that you mentioned that it comes from the city planners first, the blueprint, and then the implementation team is a different one linked with your which is already there. The implementation team would be already there, and the drafting of the blueprint itself could be your own planners working in collaboration with a specialist expert consultant, or with an agency like Urbanist under KPKT that has already set the national framework. Okay, a lot of people interested in Putrajaya. There is another question asking whether from Encik Mazlan Abbas, asking since he is very impressed by your strategy to start small and scale up later, which is more inclusive, that you don't need a big investment. Of course, you do have the advantage of having the new infrastructure put in earlier than most other cities, but it is a way to get past the sort of big investment at the beginning if you have to do everything at one go. He asked how you can further recognize these smaller projects and award and the companies, the private companies that have helped to execute them, such that it will also generate more enthusiasm and motivation and commitment to bring in the private sector, especially to Putrajaya, which most people would think is well taken care of by the federal government. So I think that was his comment. Since you are ahead, to give some moral support, I think, to the rest of the PBTs. I think it's a good thing. The human factor is very important. After all, I do believe smart cities is not about technology, but really about enabling, especially post-pandemic, a more connected, sustainable lifestyle that is already set out in the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. I have some specific questions, but perhaps before we go to data, that's always a difficult question. I think one of the things that is most on top of everyone's mind, of course, is the high cost of housing. And can we discuss, perhaps Dr. Mary can give her views on how technology-based and the implementation of smart cities is going to help facilitate affordable housing in Malaysia.
Yeah, that is a difficult question. All right, because cost of houses is not going down unless it is, I mean, that definitely construction costs is going to go up, and because materials are going up and so on. But if we are looking at a smart initiative, I think one of the ways is actually looking at how effective, can we actually build, like say using BIM is one area, and of course technology is not going to be cheap, all right? But like I said, over the years, once we harness on this technology, I believe technology can help us to actually reduce the costs of construction. So basically, I wouldn't say that. I think what is important is like I say, it's still data. All right. The whole construction costs of building a house or building a development, there are so many various factors, so many costs involved. Therefore, it is important for us to look at specifically what are the areas. Like you say, there's labor costs, there's construction costs, there is a material costs, and there's so many things that actually contribute to this. But one of the ways I think what we can do is to make it more efficient in terms of the whole management, if EIM can come in as fast as possible, and other ways where we can actually mobilize, the whole development cost to be as optimum, as cost efficient as possible, I think that will reduce the cost of construction and the cost of houses. So again, it's also design, and it's so many other factors involved. And I believe that now we are using IBS, we are going towards IBS, and I believe all these things will contribute to reducing the cost in the long term.
Long term. So
long term, yes, I say long term because in the short term, it's quite impossible to, there will be a reduction of cost if material cost goes down, labor cost goes down and all that. But again, it takes a lot of effort, But like I say, what is important is not just so much of the cost per se. If we can provide a fairly reasonable cost of construction, when it's not exorbitantly high, I think what the people are looking forward to have is quality homes. People don't mind paying a little bit more if they have houses that are not, after a year it's uninhabitable, or there are a lot of issues with the homes and so on. So I believe this is what in the long term people are looking forward to, quality homes. And so on. So I think we need to make sure that the houses that we build are of standard quality.
Okay, coming from the industry, I would think that actually the quality of housing built is high. I think there are other issues such as maintenance. And the management of the residents, especially in public housing, that cause to deterioration because they're all built on the formula coming out from KKR. I do believe they had a good foot starting, although perhaps in the old model, and perhaps that's one of the things about in the Smart City initiative now, it needs to be always evolving. With post-pandemic, obviously, planning needs to change. I recall back in the 90s when, in the 60s, all public housing had a nice veranda. I remember going to my aunt's flat, in the Lookview flats, and she had a nice veranda, and they spent a lot of the evenings out on the veranda. And then in the 90s, there were some directives that it was unsightly to have a veranda because, linens and clothing were being hung. And it goes to something as basic like that. There was a directive to neaten the appearance of public housing such that all the verandas were then made into small internal air wells where they couldn't dry their clothes, they couldn't plant their herbs, and they couldn't really sit. So some of it is very common sense, I think. And perhaps that portion of Smart City can come without cost to rethink what is important, to manage the aesthetics of city, of the city and of buildings is also, I believe, not a big cost if we are looking to improve the public housing for Smart City. So I do hope that that comes, and that came from, I think, some policy or directive on public housing. As you know, they're all now inward looking and for the last 20, 30 years. So hopefully, post-pandemic, we will go to back to the drawing board, not just designers, but also administrators who had views on that earlier.
Actually, we welcome the industry actually to come forward and to let us know if there are any ideas on making the construction industry, especially for our homes, to be of a better design and yet at a low cost. We definitely welcome that. Yeah.
Yes.
We are looking at some design. I think CITB, Cream has come up with some very innovative design, and they are IBS based, and they are pretty reasonable in terms of cost. So I think we are looking into that as well. So, but what is important, I believe, is for the future, we want our homes to be safe. We want our homes to be, have some smart city devices inside. For example, I have seen some of the homes in other countries where it is so convenient for the urban dwellers, and it is very safe for them and so on. So I think we should go towards that. And then even if there's an added cost to it, but I believe people will be more ready when they see that this kind of design is actually helping them to live better lives and more safe environment and so on. Yeah. Definitely, we welcome any ideas or even suggestions from your side.
Yes, I do agree.
Industry players.
Yes, I do agree that design and planning holds some of the low-lying fruit that we can immediately work on. That may not need big funding packages to make our cities more sustainable and more resilient to cope in a future public health crisis situation. And perhaps those who already have set their blueprints will also revisit that portion for the easy, low-lying fruit that are common sense, really.
We are coming out with the smart home idea soon. I mean, we are looking at that. Probably we will have a piloting a smart home in one of our housing developments. So we will probably take that as the way forward for us. Yeah, with a lot of smart city devices and indicators and so on. So we are looking towards that. Definitely.
One of the, if I may now direct the next question to Dr. Raslan. Clearly, when with ICT and with everyone all connected and linked, and the development of this common platform of data, people continue to have concerns about data privacy and data ownership. We all already are fearful that Mark Zuckerberg and will be trailing us and trying to decide what we're going to buy next. Jeff Bezos will come in and figure out what you're going to need before you even think about it. So how do you deal with ownership of data, and or at least the perceived notion that personal individual privacy may be compromised when you go to a shared data platform?
Thank you, Lillian. I think back to open data matters. I think this is not new. Issues keep crop up many times from the past until today. There are two aspects here we need to look on it. First, on the source of data. I think we cannot just thinking data came from public institution, for example. Because, for example, when people plan to develop the solution, they rely on the public, infrastructure, access to public data as a means to do to shape the solution and to come up with the right solution. That's one source of the data. Second, on the back to the private data, which is again is a very hot topic, and then not many people allow people to access private data. But as you aware, with the current internet age, data is everywhere. While you are protecting your private data, you assume everything being protected. It's not. Everybody can access the data in many ways. Back to technology, capability and readiness on all of us, whether you are from public or private or from technology, from industry, back to capability and capacity, managing data in many ways. So to me, if you're talking about public open data, yes, there are many ways to achieve or to get that kind of data through many ways. Either you are working closely with the authority on that particular area, or you can get from the user side on that specific public data. But when you talk about private data, personal data, there's the major issue now, where everybody thought they should be protected. But like in the past, when we begin to introduce technology in our country, nobody knows how to apply, how to leverage on that particular technology. But we are evolved slowly in many ways. I still remember when ICT be introduced in our country. You can count how many people familiar with that particular technology. And then issue of data, access to information is already surfaced within that period of time. But again, to me, I don't have the specific answer for that question. But to me, back to capability and capacity at all levels. Managing data at individual level, at the organizational level, at country level, require a lot of effort by all partner, all stakeholder, and also up to individual level. So let's say at individual level, it's up to us finally how we want to share, how we want to project, how we want to leverage, or how we want to generate value based on data we have at our level. So that require multiple engagement and then collaborative arrangement with all parties. So if you talk about smart city, I think data everywhere, data might from the authority, data might from individual user, data might from the public through the device we are using. So it's very complicated and dynamic, Lillian. It's require not just policy, sometimes require education, either persuasion or regulation, you name it. So I think the government have put a lot of effort on this area. I think open data policy been introduced many years, but the challenge back to the implementation and the dynamic of that managing open data. I think again, Dr. Maglan raised the question in terms of whether institution like PBT have those open data policy and how they manage their open data policy. Because to have policy, one thing, to manage that and realize and follow through and monitor how we managing data and leveraging on data for betterment, that's the challenge. I think we need special topic for this, just for managing open data, Lillian. Over to you, Lillian.
Yeah, that is true. It is complex, and not just it's not a static problem. It's a dynamic problem that is growing. As the technology evolves, it is almost a moving target to pin down how to manage that, what you manage, and then suddenly there is a further exponential leap forward, as they always are, a very big leap each time, and you have to rewrite even the terms and reference or code of terms and reference for use. I can appreciate. Would you say that it would be KKMM taking a lead, and would you see that Mike will play a critical role because you are directly on the topic, whereas they are administrators?
Again, I don't want to single out one single entity because, as I mentioned, this is very dynamic and very complicated. I think each of us have some role to play. You talk about regulator like MCMC or KKMM, they have played their role in many ways. Similar at the industry level, I also expecting industry play some role in not just asking data from the government, but sometimes we need to also using technology to pull and push kind of arrangement. Because I observe some of the technology partner, provider and entrepreneur able to leverage on technology to get the data and add value to the data for their own benefits and providing solution. So again, it's not necessarily just government or Mike or KKMM should be leading this. I think each of us, either at PBT, individual, organizational level, should have some role to play. And then need to take some ownership. Ownership in many level we can discuss, but at least in terms of managing our own data, I think we should be open enough now because data is available. We should be able to leverage on data for our own purpose and the benefit to the entire society at large. So that's what I can mention. I don't want to just depending on a single organization to lead, because this require multi-stakeholder, multi-champion in terms of addressing data for our value creation. Lillian.
Yes, thanks, Dr. Raslan. What about the role of Jabatan Statistik Negara? You know, it seems like every 2 years, the data comes out every 2 years because of the entire collection across the country. Will they need to speed up? Because 2 years is a long time in now the Internet of Things. And how do you foresee they also need to step up too? Because they will be a key factor if there is a universal platform. They would need to work in a different speed, a different time clock.
I'm not in the position to represent the Department of Statistics, but I can consider we have opportunity now because we talk about reset and in everything we are doing currently. And then not only that, our resetting is not just involve public institution, but also the entire society at large. So that means everybody can, contributing and also reassess how we are doing things. Like today, I glad because without physical, we still able to deliver and conduct this training. And then I think the significant result should be equal or much better with cost saving and less, physical space and so on. That will happen on the role of institution. I think like Department of Statistics, definitely, I believe they will review the new approach to collect and also to share the data. Definitely, they might able to now leveraging on technology to speed up, enhance their, current works in sharing the data and also collecting data and also the issue now back to what we would do with the data. Once you collect, how much you leverage on the data, not just for yourself, but also for the entire community at large, like industry, the academia, which should be benefit all instead of benefit only our internal department or our organization. So that's my thought, Lillian. I'm not able to representing the Department of Statistics, but I can see there are opportunity for them to reset or re-strategize and also leveraging on the current situation and adopting new technology and new way in doing things in terms of managing data for our country.
Yeah, you certainly look like you have a very, very busy next few years ahead as we proceed to do, and probably it's a all constantly changing game. We have one question from the participants from Puan Nurul Faiza from Pejabat Pembangunan Negeri Sembilan. We've been talking a lot about more the hardware and technical aspects. She wants to know to what extent we have the community engaged and aware on the smart city initiatives. Do they understand the larger macro benefits that it brings, or whether it's just about how accessible to information on their mobile, which is their now current immediate experience of it? How much time is spent engaging to get community buy-in? That's, I think, is a question. Perhaps, I think Dr. Raslan, I think that's your question.
Okay, I fully subscribe the involvement and the participation of the community for smart city realization. I think without community participation, it's quite difficult for us to address the issue, the challenges, and also how we want to move forward. My experience when I'm leading Yayasan Inovasi Malaysia in the past, we are targeting at least a key community group, especially at the leadership level, because we need local champion, we need a grounded champion to subscribe and also lead the way. So the role of a leader at the community level as a champion is critical now, because if our leader not embrace this new technology and subscribe smart city vision and mission and agenda, so how to ensure the rest of community will be part of this? But while we rely on the leadership at the community level, we also need to engage the masses, the community at large. It might we have a series of awareness, capacity building, not just for PBT, but also we have serious engagement with the local leaders, especially in few states. Currently, we are working closely with Melaka, Perak, and Penang. These are 3 states we are close engagement and have series of initiative involve state leadership and also the local community leaders at the particular state I mentioned earlier. So in addition to awareness, I think through seminar, workshop, and talk series, I think we need a handhold or hands-on and best practices which can demonstrate the working model in effective manner. Because sometimes just talking, highlighting the issue, we need to also demonstrate real action at the local level. So in that particular context, we have a few pilot project now. For example, in Melaka, we have what we call Smart Grid Project. As you aware, Melaka, or through with the cooperation of Tenaga Nasional Berhad, as you aware, TNB now roll out the smart meter in a few states, especially Melaka. Now they are also roll out in Kuala Lumpur and also Selangor. That's just one example talking about how we can adopt new smart meter to make it and empower user, client in terms of managing the usage of electricity at their level. So not only that, we are expanding that particular project, not just focus on smart meter. We are now bringing other elements like solar rooftop, solar farm, energy efficient building system, as you mentioned about smart home appliances. So this is very critical. Rather than just talking about policy, we need to demonstrate how we can deploy, how we can adopt, how we can encourage the user, especially the community, have that experience and then see the benefits. Rather than talking about just a high level initiative at organizational level, we need to ensure at the end of the day, majority of user, our community, our society, be part of that. They can get involved. Like now with the empowerment of smart meter, people as a user can observe the utilization of their electricity. So of course there are some challenges of addressing the expectation, but at least now I personally now can access into my bill. And then can manage my consumption because of I can access the information rather than just receiving a physical or the bill from the TNB. Second, I also can generate energy now because I've installed a rooftop on my house. That means I also can have additional income through the energy generation. So this is a kind of life-changing application, life-changing experience to the society is a critical, rather than just talking about policy and then stop at the organizational level. We need to go beyond, organization. We need to go up to the community at large. So that's my response, Lilian.
Excellent response, Dr. Raslan. I think that, what you said about the need to have pilot projects to bring home the experience, to build the buy-in, and engagement. I think that's something certainly are those smaller steps that those PBTs in the early stages could easily start on to build more support for their plans. A very, very good point about the significance, the importance of these pilot projects, as you mentioned, solar farm and various small things that they experience themselves. That's the best way. A very good point. I think that's a good advice for all those, especially who are starting up. Also a low-hanging fruit. And I do believe also there are quite a lot of funding for these straight-to-consumer type of packages. I think from various ministries, including I think Green Tech. Has programs like that where you get subsidized solar cells for your home. You just have to apply. I think this importance, as you mentioned, not just be burdened or be scared off by the largeness of the whole effort, but to humanize the application and day-to-day experience. I think that's a very, very strong message to all the PBTs to motivate them to get started and to start seeing first tangible results. That's very great advice for everyone. Thank you, Dr. Raslan. That's a good advice. There are also some questions again for Putrajaya, still asking. I think these are people who really want to implement. Sabri, they want to know what type of people and which departments would be best if they were not able to bring in people with experience who are the type, what are the type of skills that's needed for initial implementation. This is probably speaking from people on the ground who probably have to put it to work. What's your advice for them?
Okay, based on our experience, of course, as I mentioned earlier, that there's two set group of expertise that we need in order for you to implement a smart city in your local authority. So, of course, at the earlier stage, you need basically a city planner to actually, because they are really expert on actually looking at the methodology to do the study and then to come up with the planning of establishing a very detailed plan for your smart city in your area. So I think that is one of the part that I can mention. Then the second group of people actually more people is more into skill in terms of those people who know more about technology, who know more about IT, who know about things about engineering, about SCADA systems, about environmental sensor, about mechanical. This also can get involved into the second group. Okay, but as I mentioned earlier, the key personnel which is we can establish in your organization is actually to have a strong IT background, basically IT background with that can implement the IT knowledge into the operational of your local authority. Yeah, means that how can we use IT in engineering? How can we use IT in monitoring the environment? How can we use IT in actually maintaining your street light, maintaining your building, your lift, road, and etc. So I think the IT personnel in the organization has to be able and to look forwards into getting more knowledge on how not just like before this, when we talk about IT people, we just mentioned about development of systems, development of application. But in this era of smart city, IT personnel need to go into solutions of daily life in terms of operational of local authority. Yeah? So I hope that will answer the questions. So in our place, normally our teams consist of IT and also technology background personnel.
Thank you. So the answer is you need people with strong IT background, especially so perhaps that may need new hiring or training. Since previously, I think currently most people outsource IT support. Yeah. So what you're saying is it's actually good either to train or to include IT strong personnel with a strong IT background for the implementation into the administration and services, city services. Okay, one question that I've wanted to ask, and I think is also integral to the SDG 11, is that how do we deal with the issue of managing electronic waste, electrical waste? I always feel very guilty when I buy a new handphone, or get a free handphone from Maxis. I feel that what am I going to do with all the plastic? I can't take it apart. I don't know where to go to recycle. I don't know how to break it down. Long term, I think I need to ask this, Dr. Raslan. Besides building it, looking at the cradle to grave issue and preparing for it, are we prepared? Are we also focused? Does the framework include how we cope with e-waste? And of course, on Dr. Elia's side, if you can also answer on construction waste, are we, besides what we have already set in place at CIDB, what needs more to come in? But Dr. Raslan? How do we do with e-waste? Big question.
Lilian, I think it's not just e-waste. We talk about managing waste in general also, because e-waste one of the contribution of waste in our country. And then if you follow, the trend, now people talk about the circular economy. Rather than we looking waste as a waste, we should look, see waste as a resource. That's the new thinking in international level where I am able to participate. Where they see, instead of we are talking, dumping or putting waste as a waste, people want to see how we can consider this as a resource opportunity to generate new value, new product, new solution. That's one dimension I want to share. Instead of looking just at waste and then we are struggling, dealing that how many years already about waste management in our country. And that's one aspect I want to highlight. Second, as I mentioned, we are now resetting and then the new paradigm because of the pandemic. And then talking about, we need to also address this very seriously, because back to contributing into climate change and environment matters for our country. Again, technology solution always there. But the issue now to bring the key stakeholder to take up and take ownership and follow through adopting the new solution addressing waste is critical. I think definitely KPKT play very leading role on this area. The KKMM on the e-waste should be same thing for the CASA and a few other ministries. They are doing their part, but that's not enough, because finally, if you talk about e-waste, we as a user, we as a consumer also should also play a active role. What happened with our waste program in the past? Because finally, back to the root where this source of waste start from our home, our house. How disciplined are we in terms of managing those waste? Are we a part of that problem? Definitely. So again, Lilian, I believe this reset time for all of us, thinking new dimension, how we perceive waste, not just a waste. We need to look as a new resource opportunity. Other country, developed country, talking about how they want to utilize waste as a new source of new economy. It's not the linear. They talk about circular, and then how we maximize in terms of capitalizing the abandon of waste in our country. For example, you mentioned about e-waste alert. Let's say our whatever. Some people very creative in terms of turning that particular waste into something, very interesting product and solution. For example, in the textile area, people now accepting bundle as one of the they're not shy away anymore. Recycle their clothes, their whatever they have for the sake of economic and saving costs and so on, for example. So this kind of new paradigm we need, instead of just thinking on one side of waste. And then of course that there are so many effort been done at the government level, but I also want to see active role by the industry and the consumer and user side, especially at the community at large. So I don't have the specific answer for that, but at least my message, let thinking differently. Let's have a new paradigm when we talk about waste.
Thank you, Dr. Razlan. He's very clear. Dr. Elias, would you like to comment also on how CIDB has been managing construction waste, and how a smart city framework will require you to have even more stringent policies to manage construction waste, to manage and reduce construction waste?
Right. First of all, I'd like to mention here that the construction waste actually is not under purview of CIDB, but is under KPKT through SW Corp. But we are working together in collaboration with SW Corp CIDB is working with that in terms of how to promote, how to devise and promote long-term solutions. For example, on the aspects of reducing waste, and also recycling, the reuse, and so on. And in doing that, we have done a lot of C&D, construction and demolition waste recycling rate. The baseline now is about 14%. We are working together with the industry so that we can do more than that, increase our effort in under 3 up. On the another aspects of how the construction contribution to environment in the SDG is the greenhouse gas emission, which from our study, actually 70% of the GSG is from the materials. It's not from construction activity on sites, which is just 30%, something like that. But the main thing is from the embodied carbon of the material used. So we will focus the attention now towards solving that using green materials and so on. So I think basically those are the things that CIDB is working together with KPKT on the SDG side, on the green side.
And Datuk Mary, would you have any to add to Datuk Elias?
Yes, actually, yeah, this is under the purview of KPKT, managing waste throughout the country. Of course, under 672, we have 7 states. But right now, the ministry is in the midst of coming out with a circular economy blueprint, a national blueprint for circular economy. And therefore, we are looking at looking seriously into how to reduce our waste from going into our landfills. So it's either through, of course, it's through recycling. We are going to up our recycling rate from right now. At the moment, we are achieving about 30%, slightly over 30%. We intend to increase it further. And therefore, we are looking into seriously into a circular economy and how we can actually translate waste into wealth, more into the circular economy industry. We believe that there is a lot that we can do to actually reduce our waste to our landfills and make them more productive in terms of coming up with new products from our waste. So basically, we are now in the midst of coming out also with the waste eco park, meaning we are looking at identifying areas we can actually promote the whole waste management, the circular economy industry as a whole, that we want to encourage more players in the market to actually look into converting our waste into profitable products, that can be sold in the market. So this is the way forward for us.
And Encik Sabri, does your command center also manage waste from the Putrajaya population?
Okay, just some sharing on what we have done here. Basically, in our smart city blueprint, of course, one of the most important element is related to one of our domain, which is the second domain, the smart environment and also the smart homes. So not only inside that domain, inside our the other domain, smart transportation and mobility, we also encourage our use of this green mobility, green transportation. So it is already in place in terms of planning on what we should encourage in terms of advancing into smart city. For the Putrajaya Command Center, we also do monitoring all sorts of activities related to waste management. So whenever our system detect or any pollutions detects, for example, we have sensors in our lake that actually can detect up to 24 parameters. If let's say someone throwing anything into the lakes, the system are able to detect and then alert the command center for further actions. Other than that, we also are managing if anyone throw any rubbish into a certain area or what, actually is 24/7. Actually, we are actually monitoring the activities throughout the cities with all our CCTVs. The CCTV that we use currently, it comes with intelligent video analytic, where it could be able to detect human behavior, especially suspicious human behavior, not only into criminal activities, but also any activities that relates to in terms of people trespassing to other places, and also do something that you're not supposed to do. Yeah. So basically, with the help with the technology that we have currently for smart city, I think we have a better way of actually making sure that the city has very good environments, which is one of the objectives in our smart city blueprint.
I was about to close, but I saw these questions from Citi, from MDM, which must be answered, which is, will the implementation of smart cities increase the unemployment rate? I think this is a poignant question. I think today, as we post-pandemic, a lot of people are facing difficulties in maintaining their jobs, as a lot of companies are affected. So how can we assure them that smart cities will not put people out of work? Dr. Raslan and Datuk Mary, I think we need to assure the people out there that machines are not going to take jobs away from people. Dr. Raslan?
Very tough question. Nobody can guarantee anything. But again, I would like to consider this as opportunity rather than as a threat. Because if you talk about a threat, there are so many factors will influence or will back to job. Sometimes we can create new job through this kind of initiative. Don't talking about just losing job, but also some people have more job and more opportunity. You can see the current trend. I think you follow people can able to align themselves, or they back to agility. How much we agile in terms of facing and addressing the current issue like COVID-19. But again, to me, instead of lost job, I would consider as an opportunity to create new job, and then either your job your own or working with others, and then technology allow you to do that. So that's what currently happen. I think the future trend also telling us it's not mean when we introduce smart city that mean we are losing a job. Sometimes we creating a new industry, new job opportunity for all. So I think take it positively, but nobody can guarantee whatsoever. Finally, that's depend on many factors. I can't say, oh, definitely job no longer exists. I don't want to say that, because it's a very very complex matter. I don't know whether I've answered that or not, but perhaps Dr. Mary can respond also.
Yes, I also looking to Datuk Mary for the last word on this.
All right, I think it has been proven. I mean, this forum itself goes to show that if we have done it physically, probably we'll limit ourselves to 100 to 200. I think now we can actually enroll 500 to 1,000 people. Now that is employment, okay? And that is what I say, opportunities. And I believe that with the smart city, people will become more innovative, because you are given the opportunity to learn. You're given the opportunity to actually increase your knowledge, increase your know-how. I think during the, I'm not sure, but I've heard of so many testimonies of people during the MCO time that they have gained a lot of knowledge through online seminars, webinars, and so on. And I think these are opportunities for employment, and these are opportunities to actually go into areas where we have not done before. And people are gaining this know-how through this smart initiative that is, this ICT availability and opportunities given. I think people are getting more creative and innovative through these times. And I believe that with the smart city, people will be more aware that, okay, I can do things another way and not the traditional, conventional way anymore. So it opens up a lot of opportunity. It depends on the person. And if you know how to take advantage of that, it's employment.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Perry, for reminding us it's just not cities and all these sort of large, vague, abstract things, but in the end, everyone will benefit from the opportunities from the smart city, from the new world, from the opportunities to learn, the democratization of access. On that note, I thank all the panelists and for a very a comprehensive discussion that goes to the heart of issues as well as all the technical stuff, and hope that the rest of the workshop they will be able to take the thinking and the ideas that has been raised by our honorable panelists today as they go through the details of implementation.